Boys and girls, good afternoon from NYChessKids. My name is Saudin. This is study number 5, and here we are going to learn about the short games. I choose 10 games for you, and I will explain every game, and then you can see those games on your own. Like you can try to see them on the chess board, or if you want, you can even see them here in Lichess. When you go to tools and you put the games into analysis board, you can play with your mom and dad those games, right? Try to memorize them. They are fun. So let's see what happened in the first game. This is the shortest game, shortest checkmate in 2 moves, right? So look what happened. White played pawn to f3. Now, this move is not good because it is opening the king on the diagonal. This is diagonal e1, h4, right? King is open, and some troubles could happen there. Now, there is another problem with this move. The knight on g1 cannot move to the center of the board, right? And that knight is very important because it protects the white king. So let's see now what happened. Black played pawn to e5. Excellent move, right? Look, this pawn is controlling the white side of the board, controlling f4 and d4. White pieces cannot go there. At the same time, queen is open and the bishop is open. Now, white makes a very big mistake. Plays pawn to g4. And we'll talk later what's the reason that this is a mistake. But now I want you to find a checkmate in one move for black. Okay, I'm sure you are recognizing this diagonal, right? The king is open. So queen h4, checkmate. Pawns, they cannot go backwards, right? And king cannot move. So checkmate. Now let's see what's the reason that white lost the game so quickly. f3 was not the best move, but that's not the move that lost the game. g4 is a bad move. That's the move that really put white king into a big trouble, right? Completely opened the white king on this diagonal, right? And that's why this checkmate happened. So what do we learn from this game? You don't want to open this diagonal with a black or a white side. It can become very, very dangerous for the king. Don't push the pawns on the side. If you are pushing the pawns, then you can push them here in the center of the board. Look, this pawn is in a great place. You want to push maybe the pawn on d7 and to the center of the board. The only reason we push the pawns is because we want to open the bishops. So pushing them on the side is not helping you because you see the bishop is not really opened. All right. So that's what we learned from this game. And also in the beginning of the game, you want to play with your chess pieces because they are stronger and you don't want to play just with the pawns. That's the reason white lost the game. Okay, now you can see the game on the chessboard on your own, and I am going to explain you the game number 2. Let's see this one. White started with e4. Excellent move, because this move opens the bishop, opens the queen, and we are pushing a pawn for 2 spaces. What's important? Because it's important to have space in chess, right, for your chess pieces. We are controlling the black side of the board. What else can you get with one simple move, right? Black also plays great move, pawn to e5. So now both sides open a little bit the king, right? Open the pawns in front of the king. And white plays this tricky move, queen to h5. I see so many kids are playing this move on the chess tournaments, right? Now, this queen is really not attacking the pawn on f7, because if the queen takes on f7, a king can take on f7, right? And that's that tricky part with this queen. Many kids, they think, oh, as soon as the queen comes to h5, oh, the white wants to checkmate on f7. Not yet, right? What white really wants to do is to take the pawn on e5. Now, black made a terrible move, the worst one. Plays king to e7. And white checkmated in one move. Can you find a move? Okay. Queen e5. Queen takes the pawn. Look at this checkmate. Checkmate in 3 moves. Well, what's the reason that black lost the game in 3 moves? What was the mistake here? The mistake is king to e7. This move is a bad move. Pay attention to this move. It's blocking the queen. It's blocking the bishop, moving the king to the center of the board. Now, many beginners, they move the king like that. But you see now, after this game, I hope you understand that's very dangerous for the king. The king is not supposed to be moved in the beginning of the game. King needs to go into the castling, right? When you make a castling, then king is much safer, right? So I hope after this game, you are not going to be moving your king in the beginning of the game, but chess pieces, right? So king e7 is the mistake, right? We don't want to play that move. Okay. That's what we learned from this game, right? We don't want to move the king in the beginning of the game. Okay, again, you can go to the chessboard and play this game. Try to memorize the games. Let's see the game number 3. Now, here we have pawn to e4, excellent. Pawn to e5, very good, right? And instead of queen h5, white decided to play queen f3. Okay, now, I don't like when you move the queen in the beginning of the game, because the pieces like a knight and a bishops are really supposed to go first and then queen later. But then again, look, we have to be very careful, because when the queen moves out, you have to ask yourself what's going on, because I'm sure that other kid that moves the queen wants to checkmate you. So you have to stop and ask yourself the question, what was the last move and what the other kid wants to do. Now, black played here, excellent move. Knight c6, develops the knight, very nice. And bishop moves to c4. This is where you need to stop. Look, there are 2 pieces attacking black king. The kid who played here with the black side just continue developing the pieces without paying attention. So look, play bishop to c5. Nice, right? You want to develop your pieces, but you also have to ask yourself, what was the last move? Bishop c4. Look, queen f7 checkmate. This is called in chess scholar checkmate. Queen and the bishop are very dangerous, powerful, working very nicely together. Now, look at this space here, f7. f7 and f2 are the weakest spots around the king, weakest pawns around the king. And the reason is that only king protects the pawn on f7. Now, you see, If the black would protect that pawn on f7, then the checkmate would not happen. So let's go back and see what is the correct move that black can play. Look, how about knight f6? And you block the queen. There is no checkmate right now. How about queen f6? You offer a trade. Kids who are attacking, they don't like to trade the queens. So you offer a trade. That would be a good defense. But the black played here bishop c5 and got checkmated. So let's see, what did we learn from this game? I think the most important is to remember that when the other kid moves the queen, you have to stop and ask yourself, what is it that that queen wants? Sometimes queen wants to capture your pawn, or sometimes queen wants to checkmate you. So if you find the answer to that question, then you can stop the checkmate. Okay, that's what we learned about this. Checkmate in 4 moves. You are going to see that very, very often in the chess tournaments. And so many children will try to checkmate you. So I would really advise you to learn how to defend yourself with white and with black pieces. Okay, let's go to game number 4. Okay, here again we have pawn to e4, pawn to e5, and now this queen moves to h5 again. Black got so scared of this queen and played pawn to g6, right? Wants this queen to go away, right? Don't attack me, please. But the white really didn't want to take this pawn here, right? He didn't want to take the pawn on f7 because there is no support for a queen. King could take that queen. He secretly wanted to take the pawn on e5. So after g6, look, wow. Do you know how do we call this? When you attack 2 pieces at the same time. We call that double attack. I know some of you are calling that fork, and that's okay, right? Look, you are taking 2 pieces at the same time. And now when the black blocks the check, you can take that rook on h8. Now let's see what happened here. Queen captured on e4. How dangerous is this attack? Is this dangerous attack? No, not really, right? Because look, there's only queen attacking the king. You can block the check. Queen takes the pawn and attacks the rook. So I'm wondering if you can find a move here that can protect the rook on h1. There is a good move. Okay, look at this move. Bishop goes to f3. Now, bishop is protected by the knight. It attacks the queen and protects the rook. So queen has to go back to g5, and now queen takes the knight. So we are going to stop here. But it would be a good practice for you to learn how to finish this game. So I'm going to show you how you can do that. Go here to Lichess, and under the tools, you can go to board editor, and you see you can click here and delete all the pieces, and then set up the same position that we had in our game. And then after that, you can just click here, continue from here, and play against the computer, right? So I'm wondering if you can remember where the pieces are. So let's put them on the chessboard, and uh, and this is the position that you can practice. Right, let's put the bishop, the knight. There's also knight here and bishop on f3, right? So this is what we have. And then we'll put the black pieces also on the board. Queen is on g5. And this is how you can practice any position. I wanted to show you this because this is important for you to know, right? So here, you just continue from here, and now the computer is going to ask you if you want to play with a friend. That means you can play, let's say, with your mom and dad, this position, or you can play with a computer. When you play with a computer, just play on level 1 or level 2, right? And click here that you are white. And then you get this position, and you can play this position with a computer and try to win. Okay, let's go to our game, and let's see the most important moves that happen in this game. Look, the first move was fine, but black made a big mistake by playing pawn to g6. Right, because after this move, white takes on e5 and takes the rook on h8, and the game is pretty much difficult now for black because black lost the rook, right? So if you are black, you don't want to play move g6. That's a big mistake. You need to develop your pieces. You can play knight to c6, or I showed you before, you can play knight to f6. Okay, that's our game number 4. So let's go now to game number 5. In this game, white played e4, black played e5, and knight to f3. Knight on f3 is a very important piece because from here knight attacks the pawn on e5, but also protects the pawn on h2. Now, why is this pawn on h2 so important? It is important when you make a castling. Then this knight protects you. Also, if you remember in the first game, we were talking about the diagonal, right? You see, when the knight is on f3, the diagonal is protected. So the queen can even not come to h4 because knight can take the queen. Also, knight from the center here supports pawn to d4. So look, if you push this pawn to d4 and the black pawn takes, knight can recapture that pawn. And that's what's important about this knight. Let's see what the black played. Black protected the pawn by playing d6. Now, this move is not bad, right? Pawn protects the pawn. It blocks the bishop, so your bishop will have to stay here on e7. It cannot go to c5, right? So it is not the best move, but it's also not a bad move, right? It's a good move. This is called in chess Philidor opening. Philidor was a chess player, a great chess player, and the chess players gave this opening to his name. Now, white plays bishop to c4, right? I want you to remember moves like bishop c4. This bishop is attacking the pawn on f7, and we know that this pawn on f7 is the weakest pawn around the king. It is not protected by other chess pieces. Only king is protecting. So the checkmate can happen here, and you will see in this game this pawn was captured. Now, black plays bishop to g4. How many of you know what's this? Okay, this the bishop is doing something to this knight, and we call that in chess pin. Now this is called a relative pin because the queen is behind the knight. In this case, knight can move. You may lose the queen, but knight can move. Right. So let's see how the white continue. White plays knight to c3. White pieces are nicely developed, and white is moving his light pieces to the center. Now let's see what are the light pieces. That's bishop, the knight, and the heavy pieces are rook and queen. So that's why moving the light pieces is important in the beginning of the game. Now black makes a mistake. He plays pawn to g6. This move is not good because black is playing too many moves with the pawns and not protecting the center of the board. So we will come back and see what are the correct moves, but let's see what's wrong with this move, pawn to g6. So what do you think? What can white do here? Stop a little bit and think for a couple of seconds. Okay, whenever I ask kids what to play here, many of them suggest castling. Nice move. Nothing wrong with that move. Or h3. It's also a great move, right? But look at this move that white played. White captures the pawn on e5. Now, what are the options for black? Black can take the queen or take the knight. Now, let's see first what happens if the knight is captured. Then white takes the bishop that is not protected. And the outcome here is that white won the pawn, but not only the pawn. Look at the white pieces here. White pieces are developed and black pieces are still not playing. That means this would be really much better game for the white side. Now let's see what happens if the bishop takes the queen. I want you to find the move here. I hope you found bishop f7. Check. Right? Knight is protecting the bishop. The king cannot capture, and king cannot go to d7 because the knight. So the only move is king to e7. And now checkmate in one move. The move is knight to d5. So let's see what happened here. First, let's look at this position. Pay attention to the three pieces in the center. Two knights and the bishop created so much power in the center of the board and checkmated the black king. Now, this would never happen if black had knights developed. If just one knight would get c6 or f6, then this checkmate would never happen because the knights would protect the black king. But black made a mistake by playing too many moves with the pawns. So let's go back one more time and find that mistake. So we are here, right? Black played this bad move, g6. And instead of that move, knight c6 was correct, or You could even play knight f6. So let's see now knight c6 and try to do again the same combination, and you will see it doesn't work. If you take now on e5, black can recapture this knight with a knight. You see, that's how the knights protect the center. And at the same time, black is protecting the bishop. Now let's go and see what would happen if black plays knight f6. Now knight e5 is not going to work because bishop can take the queen, and after the check, king can go to e7, and if you play knight to d5, now this knight protects the black king and takes the knight. You see, the black knights, when they move to the center of the board, they would protect the black king, right? But in this game, black made a mistake, played with a pawn, and lost the game. So try to remember this. This is called in chess legal mate. Watch this. Knight e5, bishop takes, bishop f7, king e7, and knight e5. Okay, that was a short game. Look what you can do. You can take now a chessboard and try to remember the game. Just memorize the moves. See, if you forget, then you can just come back, and you see here on the right side, I display the moves for you so you can see them and play them on the chessboard. Okay, let's go to our game number 6. Now, in this game, white plays e4 and black plays b6. Now, look, we can't say that this is a bad move. The bishop wants to go to b7. It's okay. It's black is not pushing the pawn in the center of the board, right? But it's still not one of those moves that is going to lose the game, right? It's okay. You can play like this if you want. Now, white plays pawn to d4, builds the center, and black plays bishop to b7. Black is attacking the pawn on e4. White moves bishop to d3. And this is where black made a mistake. And I think you will understand this mistake because we already discussed this in the game number 1. Black played pawn to f5. Now, instead of this move, it was better to push the pawn to e6. So if you want to play this with the black side, you could play like this. Play pawn to e6 and don't open your king. But black was a little bit greedy here in this game. He thought that he's attacking the pawn on e4, but he forgot about this diagonal. He forgot that his king is completely opened, right? Now, his hope was that white is going to take the pawn and that he can take on g2 and win the rook. But what happened is, I think you can find our next move for white. I'll give you a little bit time to think about the move. Yeah, I'm sure you are thinking about queen h5 because it's such a logical move, right? Look at this, queen h5, and now the king is attacked on this diagonal. There is only one move that black can play, that's pawn to g6. Pawn takes pawn. Now, of course, if pawn takes on g6, we would take with a queen, or we can take with a bishop, it would be a checkmate. So black plays move knight f6 and attacks the queen. Now, I want you to think a little bit and find a nice, cool combination here. There is a checkmate in 2 moves from here. I know you can see the moves on the right side, but that's okay. I still want you to visualize this checkmate. So look, white decided to give the queen. So he plays check, like check with a queen. The only move is to take the queen, and now bishop goes to g6 and makes the checkmate. So again, we learn about this diagonal in the game number one. I told you this diagonal is very dangerous, right? So you don't want to open your king like that. So let's go back and see one more time the mistake that black did it. He pushed pawn to f5 and opened the king, and that was a big mistake, right? It was better not to open the king, play move like e6, right? And now black can develop the chess pieces. But after f5, white took the challenge. Black thought he's winning the queen, but of course after queen h5, check, pawn takes, and here white takes on h7, check, and checkmate. Okay, again, what we've learned about this game is not to open this important diagonal e8 h5, right? That's very dangerous diagonal for the black king. Okay, let's go to game number 7. Now, in this game, black won the game. White plays e4 and black plays e5. Knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. Now black plays one more time with a knight. Knight to d4. Now, it is not good to play with the same piece two times in the beginning of the game, unless you have to. But with this move, black played a trick. He offered this knight for free. I'm sorry, the pawn for free. But that was a big setup trap for a white. You will see that this knight in the center is so powerful, and white needed to remove that knight by playing knight d4, trading the knight, or pushing the pawn and asking the knight on d4 to leave. But white went for a pawn. It looks white is winning. He's even attacking here on f7. See, two pieces are attacking the pawn on f7. Black plays queen to g5. Pay attention to this move. Pawn is attacked and knight on e5 is attacked. Now, knight takes on f7 and makes a fork. This is called in chess fork. Knight is attacking the queen and the rook at the same time. Black takes the pawn. So now white doesn't have a time to take this rook because black also can take the rook on h1. So rook decided to run away. But if you look at the position right now, pay attention to the white king. It is trapped with his own pieces, smothered in the middle of the chessboard. So black takes the pawn on e4, check, and white has two options. If he plays queen e2, then knight takes on e2. If white plays bishop to e2, then black plays a beautiful checkmate. Knight to f3, checkmate. Now, funny, I saw one game here in New York on the chess tournament, and the kid who played with a black side, he remembered all those moves, but when he got into this position, he chose to play knight c2 check. And the game continued. He still won the game, but he had this move knight f3 checkmate. So let's see now what are the most important moves in this game. So look here, black plays knight to d4. Again, I would not recommend you that you play move like this because you are moving your knight for the second time. But the game is nice, so we want to see even at games with the traps, right? So white made a mistake here. Instead of capturing the knight, he plays knight to e5, and this cool move, double attack. So you're attacking the knight on e5 and you're attacking the pawn on g2. Now knight takes on f7, queen g2. Try to memorize the moves. Queen e4, bishop e2, and knight goes to f3, checkmate. Look, see this game one more time on your own on the chessboard, and just try to explain yourself what happened in the game. All right. Okay. Good. Let's go with our game number 8. Oh, here we have a game, and it is an octopus. Right? Now I'll explain you what the octopus means. That means you have to guess the moves with me. Right? Now, of course, here it's hard to guess the first move, right? There are so many of them, but we can try, right? So the reason I put the octopus here is because I wanted you to remember something that we studied in previous games, right? So I want to see if you can defend yourself here. So how about we play first move together, pawn to e5. Let's see what the computer is gonna do. Ooh, here we are. So now we have to find a defense. It is your move. Look, how about this? For every correct move, you get 5 points. Take a piece of paper and a pencil and write down, and then on the end we'll see how many points you have. Okay. What do you think? What is the correct move? You remember we studied one game where black played g6. Then we studied one game where black played king e7. And then we studied, did we study any other game? No, not really. So I think correct move is knight c6 because black is protecting the pawn on e5. Let's see what the computer is going to do. Oh, this computer is very tricky. He wants to checkmate us. Look at this. He wants to play queen to f7 checkmate. How should we defend ourselves? Do you need more time? Look, I'm thinking we could play queen f6. There is nothing wrong with this move. I'd rather play this move and stop the checkmate, right? I actually like this move better than knight h6. I see sometimes kids they play this move, but knight on the edge, yes, it's protecting you, but it is on the edge of the board, right? So better move here is g6 now. Now you can play g6 because the queen cannot take this pawn. The pawn is protected. But look, queen goes back and still wants to checkmate on f7. So we need to defend ourselves. I see like three good moves here. I would like you to find all three of them. But if you find the one that the computer plays, then give yourself 5 points. And give yourself 5 points if you found the g6 move. Okay, look, three ways we can defend this position. Knight f6, we develop the piece and block the queen. We can play queen f6, offer a trade. And I think this is a very good strategy because when you play queen f6, the other kids, they don't like to trade the queens. They're going to run away, right? So that might be a good one too. Or queen e7, right? Queen e7, and then you can put the bishop on g7. Okay, because I created this octopus, I know the move, right? So knight f6. Oh, look at this. Again, this queen is moving a lot. Look, queen went to h5, second time to f3, now to b3. Anyone knows how do we call this when the queen and the bishop are lined up like this, attacking on f7? It's called in chess a battery. Now, how do we stop this attack here? This queen is very annoying. She wants to capture on f7. Look at this attack. Okay, I see two ways to stop this. We could play queen e7, or we can push the pawn to d5 and block the bishop. If you find the correct one, then give yourself 5 points. Okay, the correct one, I mean, both of them are fine, but in this game, black played d5. And now, look, we gave the pawn for free, but we blocked the bishop, right? We cannot recapture this pawn. You see, if you take this pawn, then bishop takes that for free because queen also protects the bishop. So we have a choice. Should we go to a5 and attack queen and the bishop? Or should we move our knight to the center of the board? Okay, if you moved your knight to the center of the board, give yourself 5 points. Do you remember from a last game, this knight on d4 was so powerful? And is this game the same? Now, this knight attacks the pawn on c2. And this pawn is actually now the weakest pawn around the king because it is attacked, right? Nothing is attacking pawn on f2, but pawn on c2 is protected only with the queen. Pay attention how the queen moved to h5, f3, b3, c3. It's too many moves with the queen. Now black plays a great move here. I'm wondering if you can find a move like this. If you can find move here, then you are becoming a great chess player. Okay, if you found a move like this, bishop to b4, then I think you should give yourself how many points? Let me see. How about 20? This is a really cool move. Bishop b4. Now look, queen stays here because it has to protect this pawn on c2. It's your turn. Find a good move here. Let me see how many points for this move. 15. Okay, let's see. Correct move, bishop to f5. Look at this attack. Now, you are taking the queen, right? Queen had to run away. And now for next move, 5 points. Okay, this move is knight c2, right? And again, fork. King is attacked, rook is attacked, and king runs away. Okay, so for the next move, again, you can get 5 points. There are many moves you can play here. Castling is one of them. But you can, of course, take the rook. This is the move that happened in the game. Check. So what do we do right now? Look, we capture this rook. Should we move our king to f8? Should we play queen to e7, block the check? Or should we move bishop to e7 and block the check? Which one do you like? Okay, if you found queen e7, give yourself 5 points. Now, what's the reason that this is a good move? Look, when you capture a rook, that means you really captured 5 points. When you are stronger, then you want to trade the pieces. Like you want to offer this trade of the queen, right? Because if the white trades the pieces, then it's going to be much easier for black to win the game. But white decide to run away with the queen. If you find the next move, give yourself 5 points. Okay, let's see. Bishop c2, checkmate. Look at this cool checkmate. Now, knight is protecting the bishop, and the queen is controlling this line, so king cannot run away. Very nice game, right? So let's go back. How about this? I think if you had like 30 points, 30 to 40 points, then you were really doing very well. All right. Because in one position I gave you 20 points. If you didn't find that one, then probably it's hard to get 30 points. Now, let's see. Let's see what are the most important moves here in this game. I think what we need to remember is, look, this attack with a queen h5, right? We need to learn to stop that. Queen h5, we push the pawn to c6, and now this attack here, right? When the queen wants to checkmate us on f7, right? So again, like I said, you can play knight f6 and try to replay this game on your own, or you can offer the trade. I think this is very important. This moment here is very important for you right now to understand. Do not get checkmated. This is a position that many kids are going to play, and you really have to learn to defend yourself. So let's see this. We play knight f6, right? Queen move to b3, and now we block that bishop. I think this is also very important move. And we move the knight to the center of the board. Remember this knight in the center. It is fantastic piece, right? attacking the white king. And then of course this great move, right? I gave you 20 points for this move, bishop e4, right? And then bishop f5. This one should be easy to find. We take, and we take on a1, and we play queen e1. I'm sorry, not queen e1, bishop c2. I'm sorry, I lost my concentration. So look, so here we are. I'm thinking about something else, you know. So look, I here I would suggest now, right? First you go to the chessboard and play this. You can play with with someone in your family if you have someone who knows how to play chess. Just replay this game. Try to explain the moves to yourself. Right? Try to understand the moves. It's not really important that you memorize every move because there are so many different options here, right? But it is important that you remember some ideas, like especially that knight in the center of board, knight e4, or the idea of pawn to d5 and you block the bishops. Like that's something that you need to remember. Now, how about this? You can also go here to Lichess and you go to tools and you click on analysis board, right? And then when you are in this analysis board, you can replay all those moves and you just play them, right? Now, if you want to see this from a black side, you can just go here to look at this where my mouse is. You click here, you flip the board, and you can see all those moves again, right? Look, and you just practice on your own, right? You can move for both sides, for white and for black, right? You play all this, and then you can play a little bit. Um, you can um, you can try even to explore some other moves, like you can play Queen f6, and just um, just practice, this position. This would be excellent way to practice to defend yourself in this position. Okay, I'm going to go back now to our game number 9. Now, this game we are going to analyze again the diagonal, right? Look what happened here. White is attacking the pawn, and black decided to protect this pawn with f6. Now let's see this more. The pawn is protecting the pawn, right? The disadvantage of this move is that the king is open on both diagonals, right? So this diagonal is opened, like h5, e8, but also this is a very important diagonal here because black may have a problems castling, right? So that means here bishop c4 is a very nice move. Look, you are controlling the diagonal, but also pawn to d4 is a great move. You are opening both of your bishops and you are attacking the pawn. So those two moves are great. And many kids, when I ask them, they recommend those two moves. Now, in the game, white played knight to e5. Now, pay attention to this game because I don't want you to give your knight for a pawn in some other situations because knight is a 3 pawns and pawn is only 1 point, right? So you don't want to give 3 points for 1 point. But in this game, we get something else. So let's see what do we get. We get this diagonal. So you already know the next move, right? Queen h5. check. And what are the options for the black king? We already saw one game where black played g6, and then we captured on e5, made a double attack, and captured the rook on h8. So we did see one game. But what happens if the white, if the black plays king e7, right, moves the king? You remember we saw also that game where the king was moved, and we noticed that moving the king in the beginning of the game is not good, right? In that game, we had a checkmate right away because there was a pawn on f7. But here, king can move. But look, even with this option that king can move, white has a very strong attack. So now let's see, how do we attack the king? Look, we can attack the king only if we have enough power. So we want to use all our chess pieces and attack the king. So there is one piece that can come into the attack right away. Right, that's the bishop. Bishop goes to c4 and makes a check. Now, king can run away to g6. The better defense would be pawn to d5 and give one pawn free to white, but open the bishop, because the same rules apply for defense. Like if you want to defend your king, you also have to use all your chess pieces, as many as you can. Now, in this game, king moved to g6, right? White plays queen f5. Look at his pawn on e4, helping for the attack. The only move is king h6. Now, again, when you attack, you have to use more pieces, right? It's not enough just to have bishop and the queen and a pawn in attack. So we need to bring more pieces. And one piece that we can use is bishop on c1. So we push pawn to d4. Many kids, they say d3, right? and I'm telling them push to d4 because you never know what can happen. Maybe, first of all, you control the center with those pawns, but you maybe need a bishop to come back. You never know, right? So bishop d4 is a better move. And the only move that black can play is pawn to g5. And this is where we need to stop and try to understand the game. Look, yes, we are attacking. We have a very powerful attack with the two bishops and the queen. But it's clear that we cannot win this game unless we bring other powerful pieces. Now, it is very difficult to bring the rook on a1 into the game. Knight on b1 is too far away. Right? We will have to jump a couple of times, let's say 93, 95, 93, 94, but that's too many moves, right? Because black is going to develop the pieces. And by the way, black wants to play like d5 and attack our queen and the bishop. So we have to play much sharper move. Then many kids come up with this idea, say castling. They want to make a castling and then play rook e1 and rook e3 and rook h3. But that's also too many moves, right? So now, let's see how can we bring this rook into the game. There is a bishop, and this bishop is pinning, right? Look at this. There is a pin here. That means this pawn cannot move. So if we play h4, that's going to help us to bring the rook into the game. As soon as this rook comes into the game, it will be very difficult for black king to survive. And you will see that in few moves. Black can play here king to g7 or bishop e7, right? So if bishop e7 happens, now double check. check with a pawn, check with a rook. We know when we have a double check, king has to move. You cannot block check or you cannot capture attacking piece. So king moves, and then queen f7, checkmate, right? So let's go back now and see what did we learn from the game. Pawn to e4, pawn to e5, knight f3, and f6. Now, knight takes on e5, and again, please pay attention. This is a very special situation. You can capture on e5 because the black king is open on that diagonal e8, h5. But look, remember we saw one other game where pawn goes to d6. Now you cannot take on e5. You would be just giving knight for a pawn. That's not good, right? But here it's special situation because opening of this diagonal. And now black captured in this game, but it was better to play queen e7, right? Queen e7, and then the black could capture the pawn on e4, right? So I just want to show you here, like the white really has to move now knight back because this move is not going to work because after g6, right? Now two pieces are attacked, right? So black is attacking two of the white pieces. And if white plays this move, you are not going to take that on g6 because white can take the rook. But what you can do, you can play a move in between, play check, and then come back and take the knight. So this is a little trick for black, and and of course, you as a white player, I'm showing you this because I don't want you to fall for this trick, right? So if knight goes to e5 and someone plays queen e7, you come back to f3. All right, you can come back, and if the queen takes on e4, fine. You just develop your piece, make a castling, and the game continues. Now let's see this knight e5. So if pawn takes on e5, you play queen h5, right? So I want to give you a little bit more because if you ever end up in this position, you have to know this, right? So you take, and here we play check. Now in the game, queen g6 happened, and let's just one more time. I think the most important move here is the pawn to h4. If you find this move, then you are going to win the game, right? H4. But I also want you to understand that move, right? You are bringing another important piece into the game. You have to remember, for the attack, you need a power, more pieces. For defense, you need a power. Let's see how defense works here. Look, instead of playing king g6, it was better to play d5, right? And now when the bishop takes, king can go to g6, and you see there is no check on f5. Now, this is a better defense for black. This would be better. Now, white can continue with a move like this, h4. The idea is to push pawn to h5, and this can happen. Now, look, white has this move, bishop to b7, right? You're threatening to take the rook, and if bishop takes, then you have this queen f5, and then push pawn again to d4, and black is having the troubles here, right? So this is a little bit more for this game. For those kids who are playing on the chess tournaments, if nothing, you need to know a little bit more about this. So, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this game. Now, again, I told you, you can try to memorize the game by going to the chessboard, see all those moves, and then go to tools and analysis board and just play this position. Okay, let's see our last game, game number 10. So here white plays e4. We're going to learn something new here. And now instead of this move knight f3, white decided to play pawn to d4. Now what's great about this move is that both bishops are opened, and it is a very aggressive move. I noticed when the kids are facing move like this, they feel very uncomfortable. So I think you should learn this from a white side and the black side. Right? So pawn takes. You need to take this pawn. I saw actually it was a few years ago on a national championship in Nashville. One of the kids played knight c6, and after pawn d5, jumped right away into the center and lost the knight. So knight cannot retreat. And this happened in national championship in one of the sections. I've seen this also in the local tournaments here in your city. So let's see what happens. Pawn has to take on d4 because those two pawns in the center are very powerful. So it is important to remove them. Now white plays a gambit. Now for those kids that don't know what a gambit is, gambit means you give one or two pawns, and for those pawns you get something else. They are really not for free. You get something else. You may get like attack on the king. You may get open diagonals, open files, open center, right? Like in this case, we're gonna get all of this. So pawn goes to c3, offers another pawn, right? So black takes the pawn. Now white plays bishop to c4, offers another pawn. Black takes the pawn, and bishop goes to b2. Now look, black captured two pawns, but if you pay attention to those bishops, that's what white get. Look, white has two bishops and extremely powerful, attacking on f7, the weakest pawn around the king, and attacking on g7. Now, black plays another bad move. I'll come back later and tell you what's the right move. And I think you may already find this move because from the previous game that I showed you, you maybe got that idea. Now, look, bishop goes to b4, check. And white blocks this. Now, black becomes very greedy. Instead of trying to figure out how to develop the pieces, black decided to play queen g5. Sure, there is an attack on the pawn on g2 and the knight on d2. Now, white is like, okay, I already gave two pawns, so let me continue developing the pieces and attacking instead of thinking about this pawn on g2. So he plays knight f3, a great move, right? And black takes on g2. So now black is 3 pawns up. If you show this game to inexperienced chess players, right? They will say black is winning because the only thing that they see is, oh, well, black has 3 pawns up, right? So if you see games like this, then you know that white is winning here because white has tremendous power with those two bishops and the queen that can join the attack, rook that will come to the open file and attack on g7, and the knight that can join. So white plays rook g1. The queen is attacked. But black thought he has a trick. So he captured on d2. Now, if the queen takes, black wanted to play queen f3. If king takes, then queen would take on f2. If knight takes, then black would capture on g1. But he was surprised with the next move. And this is what we need to learn from this game, because I know for many of you it's hard to play moves like king e2. Now look at this move. King comes into the game, protects the knight, and so the queen is still attacked here, right? Now queen has to run away, and now bishop is taken by the queen. So we'll stop here. Let's analyze the game. King on e2. Is this king in danger? Not really, because there are no black pieces attacking the king. There is a queen on h3, but that's not enough. Now, if you think about the king on e8, is this king in a danger? Yes, it is, because all the white pieces are aiming at the king. Rook attacking on g7, bishop on c4 attacking on f7, bishop on b2 attacking on g7, and then we have a potential attack with a knight and the queen. So black king cannot survive here. It is already too late. Look at the black pieces. Both rooks in the corner, knights not deployed, bishop trapped. And this is the price that black now has to pay for. Look, did not develop the chess pieces. Instead of developing the pieces, black went for a pawns, took 3 pawns. So now he tries to continue with knight f6, develop the pieces, but white has a very beautiful combination. And of course, there are many different moves that you can find here, right? In the game, white decided to capture the pawn on f7. And we are going to study this. What would happen if king takes? Knight goes to g5 and wins the queen. If if black goes to d8 or f8, we can analyze both of those moves. If king goes to d8, then white takes the pawn. Look how quickly white got his pawns back, and right now threatening to take the knight on f6 with a checkmate. So knight move to e4. It attacks the queen. And white now found a checkmate in 2 moves. He gives his queen here, sacrifices, check, knight has to take, and bishop f6, checkmate. Okay, this is how the game ended up. Now let's just go back and see what is going on if king goes to f8. Now, of course, there are many different ways to win this game. I could just show you one or two. You could play bishop a3, check, right? If the king takes, then we can play knight g5 and take the queen. Or if the pawn goes to d6, then you can sacrifice. Bishop takes d6, pawn takes, queen takes d6, and when the king takes here, then you play knight g5 again, right? That would be another way to win this game. You can go back and you could even play a move like this. Rook g7. Look, this pawn is protecting the black king, and by sacrificing your rook, you are really destroying the defense. Now, if the king takes, you can play move queen g5. Look at this move, because now there is a bishop here, right? King takes on f7. Look at this. You could take on f6 and take everything here, right? Take the rook and the attack. Look, the attack is still happening, right? The black is not going to be able to escape here, although both sides have a rook and two pieces, but the black king is so weak because there is no protection around the black king. On the other side, the white knight is protecting the king. So after the move rook g1, the next move could be rook g8, right? And if the black tries to run away, escape to d7, you could even play, you could play rook g8, or you can play rook g7 and go for a checkmate there. So this is what can happen if white let me see, yeah, if black goes to f8. Now let me see what is important about this game. We need to summarize and find a good moves, find the mistakes, right? Try to understand the ideas that happen here. So let's start with the pawn to d4, and here the most important is when pawn goes to d4, black needs to take, and and another thing that I see here, sometimes kids also play move like d6, even d5, right? But here, see, after d6, you are actually going to trade the queens, and now black cannot make a castling, right? So I think you don't want to play like this with the black side. So let's see d4 one more time. Pawn takes, and we saw this gambit. So let's see just slowly one more time the game, and then we'll find better moves for black. So black played here bishop to b4, and this queen g5, right? So you see black is going for the pawns, but not developing the pieces. And white is giving the pawns and developing the pieces. And I think this is the most important move. I'm sorry, not queen d2, but king e2, right? So that's the most important move. And now the attack is so strong, the black really cannot stop, right? Bishop f7, and let's just see one more time. Try to memorize the moves, just for fun. Right, so this is the end of the game. Now let's find better moves for black, because we want to play this position, right, with a white and black. So we want to know what are the best moves. So first here, if you don't like taking all those pawns, like you don't feel comfortable with the black side to take the pawns, then you can play a counter attack by playing this move. And now the game is completely different, because when the pawn takes, you can take with a queen and you can nicely develop your chess pieces for a black side. Let's go and see what can happen. Like if you, let's say here, even here, instead of this move bishop e4, you need to give 1 pawn back. Now, what's the reason we are giving this pawn back? It is because we need to open the bishop, right? And bishop will defend the black king. So this is also an option. If the black plays d5, let's say white takes, you could develop your knight to f6. And look at it, it would be just the trade. You take. Now it looks like you lost the queen, but you did not because you have a check. And now when the queen comes back, you take the queen and now you are fine. Now pay attention, you have 5 pawns against 5 pawns. Is this king in a trouble here on f7? No, it is not, right? Because it's already the end game. As a matter of fact, it even helps because you can develop the rook, right? So this is how you should play with the black side, right? Let's see now. Yeah, there are no other moves that I wanna talk about. So look, uh, this was a little bit more advanced game, right? But I know many of you are already playing on a chess tournaments, and yeah, why not? You should know something like this, and you can try playing pawn to d4 and explore that. Now, again, I would recommend you go on the chessboard, play this position, play with your chess teachers, play with someone in your family who knows how to play, or maybe a friend. If you are by yourself, then go to tools, right? Analysis board, and just enter all those moves and play them and memorize them and then maybe you show the games to some other kids, right? Okay, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this study number 5. This is a study in our Chess account. You can find this study if you go directly to NYChessKids, or you can, I mean, NYChessKids Lead Chess account, or you can find it from NYChessKids website, right? So when you go to lessons on NYChessKids website, this study should be in probably in beginners 2 or intermediate 1, right? Intermediate 1 probably, and see one more time but on your own. Okay, nice time together. Enjoy the games and good night. Bye bye, kids.